Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole for the 57th episode of our EKN Debrief. It's October 17th, 2019, and we're actually about 3 weeks from this last event. It's been a kind of a whirlwind here at the EKN World Headquarters. We're going to be talking about the Superkarts USA Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, the event taking place at the end of September. But as I said, it's been kind of a crazy time here over the last couple of weeks. Finally getting back after, for myself, a long run, 11 races over 13 weekends. So kind of getting, I'd say, pressing the reset button. I think that's probably the best bet. But we are set to go. We're going to talk about my trip out to the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. Some tremendous racing there, as always, at the city just a bit north of L.A. Saturday night show for the pro shifter drivers. Some great racing on Sunday. All in all, fantastic weather and a really, really good weekend. This week's show, presented by J3 Competition and CompKart. Since 2005, J3 Competition has captured major victories and championships on and off the racetrack, redefining the industry with each move. The company took its unparalleled knowledge and brand recognition and developed its own chassis line, the CompKart. The CIK FIA homologated brand has been winning ever since. Visit j3competition.com for more on the fastest growing chassis line in the world. All right, let's bring you in here, David Cole. I know you weren't able to make the trek out to Lancaster with us this year. Obviously, a lot of other racing going on that you had locked in for yourself. You missed another good one. But you know what? The funny thing is, not nearly as hot as it's been in years past.
Well, of course not. I wasn't there. Every year I've been there, it's been 90 degrees, 100 degrees. Ice packs on our laptops, ice packs on our internet cards, ice packs on us because it's so hot. It's I'm glad you guys did not have to succumb to the hot temperatures that typically hit Lancaster at this time of year.
I actually told that story, David, to a couple of people, saying because it was mid 70s. It was just absolutely beautiful weather. The winds were pretty high enough that they weren't able to put up the big screen that they normally put. They hang them in front of the museum there. They have the MoMA Museum. They actually didn't hang it there. They still had the big screen up, but it was kind of right behind where we had the DJ last year. So it's interesting that the weather was a lot more pleasant for sure. But I did tell the story about having actual bags of ice that you would put your laptop on because it's been 102 degrees there before. It was hot.
Yeah, I think last year was decent weather. We had a little bit of a wind scare, I think, on Sunday with the TV monitor being up there so high, because I remember we were sitting by the fire Saturday night after all the action had wrapped up, having a couple drinks, and it was a bit chilly that night. But
it was.
But yeah, typically over the 11 years that they've had the event, I think it's been above 90 degrees majority of the time.
As I said, though, pretty beautiful weather for this particular edition. Still, the weather, even the heat, it never really stopped anyone from coming out to the event. One of the big things that happens as part of the Streets of Lancaster is their Boulevard Championship event. They raise a lot of money for Karting for Life, and they have kind of the SCUSA's rental carts, and VIPs get a chance to, they kind of buy their way in by donating to get into a seat. Well, there's a ton of races that happen before we get there. Drivers kind of qualifying to be part of the Boulevard Championship. That happens on Saturday night. So after everything's wrapped up, qualifying, pre-finals, we have the main event for the pro shifters interspersed with this VIP racing, which is a lot of fun because, again, you get some people that aren't quite so experienced at racing. And we have a lot of fun with them driving around there. And they raise a lot of money, as we said. Of course, they have the annual Guns and Hoses race with the police officers, the sheriffs versus the firefighters, which was always a good battle. But it's always fun, Dave, because as you know, those guys, everybody comes out to kind of watch that race. Plus, they watch the kart races throughout the day as well. There's just such an atmosphere on Saturday night, man. It's just, especially with the pro shifters running under the lights. We've had X30 Senior as well. They ran on Sunday this time. But, man, you know what it's like, David, down there on Saturday evening, man. It's people get hyped up, and the bars are rocking, the bands are rocking. It's a good time.
Well, it's kind of like going to the local oval track because you have fans there that are rooting for certain people. So that kind of amps up the atmosphere a little bit because, and again, that's why karting is not a spectator sport, because when you go from event to event, there aren't fans there cheering you on. It's all family or friends who are already at the racetrack. So So when you get these VIP races that they have at Lancaster, it's crazy because you can hype up a certain area of the crowd for one driver and hype up a certain area of the crowd for another driver. But really, the two things that you want to watch for when you do go watch the VIP racing is one, the crashes in turn 5, because you always get the guys driving a little bit too far and drift out into the wall and smash it up. And then who's going to get kicked out? Because typically there's always somebody that's going to get black flagged because of their impulsive, aggressive, and just irresponsible driving.
Yeah. I don't think we had that this year. Not that I remember. I don't think we had anybody actually. Tom didn't pull anybody off the track, but there was definitely some contact with the barriers on the outside of turn 5. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, a lot of the contact is just guys a little bit over driving it or not being able to get the full grip into the cart, and it happens. I mean, we see that, but yeah, typically what we had seen before was just there's at least that one asshole, if you want to say it correctly, just that one asshole who thinks he's the Jeff Gordon of karting, and he's never been in a kart before, but he's going to show everybody in front of the crowd who's the real asshole.
Yeah, you're very true about that. And the interesting thing is that they get a chance to, of course, run the track during their qualifying heat races on Friday, during the day on Friday, but when we're not racing with SCUSA. Well, the thing is the guys transfer through. They get a chance to run the Boulevard Championship. Well, it's cold. It gets cooler at night, and of course, those hard tires they have on the rental carts, the grip level comes way down. And yeah, there's a lot of excitement there, a lot of fun to watch. With the streets of Lancaster, as it has been for many years, the final race of the season for the California Pro Kart Challenge, for the 15th season of the PKC, coming to a close. Numbers, if we look at numbers as we always do, numbers down slightly in the Swift and X30 classes, a drop of anywhere between 1 and 8 entries drop, but 50% plus growth in the KA100 number. So guys that potentially could have been an X30 senior or masters running in the KA100s instead. And of course, we continue to see the restructuring of the shifter kart categories within the SuperKarts USA program with the SSC 175, coming in. They're getting more and more drivers, but still an across-the-board decrease, of course, in the shifter classes the first year with not just because there was the stock Honda category, but the Pro 1 and Pro 2 both running the IME SSC 175. There was only 4 drivers in Pro 1. There was 5 drivers in Pro 2. G1, there was obviously the split between the G1 and the G2 category, 4 drivers in the G1 class, just the 1 driver in the G2 category, Patrick O'Neill. So, again, that's that shifter kart kind of change, David, that we've seen throughout the season.
Yeah, and again, California has a lot of racing going on. Every weekend there's a race somewhere, whether it's Northern California or Southern California. It's just, sometimes it just adds up to, a number of a season of bad numbers. And so hopefully the program overall will rebound going into 2020. As you said, the shifter numbers are steadily increasing as we move along with the introduction of the 175 engine package. And as you said, KA100 numbers were up. This was a kind of a debut for the categories in the program because 2019 was the first full season for all those KA100 classes being championship classes. So it's definitely been, that's where we're seeing a lot of growth, is at that grassroots level right now, which is good overall for the sport because, again, guys will enter the sport in the grassroots classes, and eventually we'll see numbers moving up to the quicker categories such as X30 and shifters as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. A total of 50 entries in the KA100 junior, senior, and masters combined. So some pretty good numbers for sure. And still a decent turnout in the X30 senior class. They put a great show on. They had 16 drivers in that category. And of course, we had a combination in the S3, S5, and S4 race groups as well. I think we had 11 or 12 in that particular category too. So although that combined race group as well. The racing, as always, was fantastic at Lancaster. And I think that Tom Kutcher would probably tell you, and everybody at SCUSA would tell you, they don't really, it doesn't hurt them that much that the numbers are down a little bit for Lancaster. There ended up being 128 in total, 145 last year. Because, David, if you had 40 kart grids, you're going to have more wrecks because the track is one where if you push over the edge and go to, just push that a little bit more. Turn 3, turn 5. We see a lot of incidents in those corners.
Yeah, those are the two key corners that you'll see incidents that have a factor in the race, because your hairpin incidents aren't too bad, and most of the time drivers are able to get away without any real damage. But truly, the turn 3 and turn 5 corners are where the majority of the incidents do happen.
So, folks, we're underway here with episode number 57 of the EKN Debrief. I'm breaking down this year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. After this break, we'll come back with the Paddock Pass.
The shift is on to a new brand and a new way of thinking. The Croc promotion has taken American karting by storm, and simply put, we have the best kart on the market. We've won and continue to win national and regional races with a revolving door of drivers. Myers, Bedozo, French, Musgrave, and we're ready to dominate the rest of the 2019 season. We just want to win. That's it. Plain and simple. Our dynamic R&D program is more aggressive than any other manufacturer, and we're the only company focused on building the perfect chassis for American tracks, engines, and tires. Why race a kart made for Europeans? We're testing prototypes for American racing. We're breaking the mold. Croc Promotion is all about supporting dedicated and talented young drivers and winning races. That's Croc Promotion USA. That's Mad Old Nut Racing. We just want to win, plain and simple. No BS. Let us spend our time and money developing the chassis so that you can win.
You probably know Nitro Kart for making a class-leading cadet chassis, the kart that swept the 2018 SCUSA Supernats cadet divisions and has won scores of races and championships all over the country. But did you know that Nitro Kart offers a full range of karts, including a kid kart and a brand new full-size chassis? Now racers of all ages can enjoy the Nitro Kart advantage of premium components, superior performance, and a wide range of tunable handling. All 2019 Nitro Karts are in stock now, so call Nick Tucker at 704-818-7868 and order yours today.
Hi, I'm Ashley Harrow, a multi-time international champion, but most kids know me as Coach. Under the tent, we aren't just friends. Everyone grows to become family. It all breaks down to two simple choices. You can either spend your time winning with us, or spend your time trying to beat us.
Nitro Kart! Race one or chase one!
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howden alongside David Cole, episode 57 of the EKN Debrief, breaking down the most recent SuperKarts USA Pro Kart Challenge event, the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. Jumping now into the Paddock Pass, we'll talk about some of the other stuff that happened, noteworthy items that we'll bring up before we jump into the race report. Today's Paddock Pass brought to you by the Rawlson Performance Group. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins at the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game, and we'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. All right, David, into the Paddock Pass. It's a street circuit, right? So no changes to the racetrack. There's always been talk about Lancaster potentially, maybe using one of the other side streets, going a little longer, whatever it may be. Track exactly the same as last year, but to be honest, we talked about it before the break, where turn 3 has been that kind of, I called it treacherous turn 3 to add a little excitement to those trackside. We didn't really have that many incidents in turn 3 like we have in the past, which is good.
Well, as you said, the numbers being a little bit down compared to last year. You have smaller fields. You have less carts coming through there that can be collected in a wreck, because I remember last year just one cart getting sideways collects 5. And that's the possibilities that can happen in turn 3, because again, the turn 3 situation goes from basically a 3-car wide street into a 1-car wide street. So the track really narrows up there in a nice right-hand 90-degree corner. It's a fast corner, but again, you don't have any room to kind of escape if anything does happen right in front of you. I mean, we even saw that last year in shifter kart qualifying, where one guy got into the barriers and just drifted one way, and the driver thought he was going to go the other way, and then the two made contact, and then they had a number of parts damaged on both their machines. So it's one of those tricky corners. And it's caught some of the best. I think we had Austin Garrison get caught out on it a couple years ago. Wesley Boswell, I think, has made contact there. So a number of drivers have gone through there. Josh Lane was a shifter kart guy I was talking about earlier. A number of drivers have struggled with that corner because you got to give a little bit, but there's not a lot to give when you go through there.
We talk about it all the time, right? In the play-by-play, it's a very, very wide entry, as you said, to a very, very narrow exit. And if you're doing like an over-under, you're good. But if you have a shallow entry into turn number 3, that right-hander, and someone gets in trouble in front of you, there's just no way you can come back to the right of the racetrack. We've seen a lot of incidents there, but no changes to the track. It was pretty solid. One of the interesting things about this particular weekend, it's the first time that Ryan Norberg's actually ever been at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. Of course, Ryan joining the Rawlson Performance Group right at the very end of 2018. He ran the entire Pro Kart Challenge with them this year and ended up winning the championship. But for Norberg, first time he would ever run the Streets of Lancaster. He was very excited to be there. And with his addition, that put 4 of the top 15 drivers in the country on the grid. Ryan Norberg, Christian Brooks, Jake Drew, and Billy Musgrave, all part of the X30 senior class. Pretty solid talent for this particular street race, Dave.
Yeah, I believe I saw Norberg make a comment following the weekend thinking that the track was going to be a little bit more sketchy, a little bit more dangerous than what he thought going in. Running up front certainly helps calm those nerves.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, as you said, racing against guys that he's been racing with all season long with Christian Brooks, Billy Musgrave, Jake Drew, all these guys, they all respect one another. They know, there's no reason to crash each other into the wall when you can just get them the next corner. So they have that respect factor. And that's a big major part of street racing, is having that respect for not only the track, but the competitors that you are racing against.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. To know who you're running with and running around, it was really good racing up front. It always is an X30 senior at Lancaster. The fans absolutely loved it because there was passing in turn 3, the hairpin, passing of course in turn 5 as always. It was a lot of fun to watch. One of the things, obviously, last race for John Crow, David, with the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix scholarship colors. Obviously, John winning that scholarship at last year's event and represented the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix throughout the 2019 season. John just had a rough weekend. He was fast like crazy, but I want to say he broke a pipe mount in one race, and I think it was the chain in the other race. He just didn't have the luck you wanted to cap off that scholarship here.
Yeah, it's part of racing, and John knows that. John's had a lot of good luck over the last couple of years, especially last year, where I think he swept, the Pro Kart Challenge and I think Pro Tour almost with in the S4 Supermaster category. So he's had a lot of luck go his way, and street racing, he knows it. Racing in Indiana a lot of years. It just, sometimes it catches up to you and bites you. But, thankfully he's able to, it was just mechanical more than anything. So that's really a good plus leaving a street race.
Continuing with this edition of the Paddock Pass, part of the debrief here today on the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, Rob Howden alongside David Cole. What I thought was kind of cool, David, and the great thing was he was able to run up front as well. Matt Johnson, who wins the Pro Tour Championship in the X30 Masters category, decides he's going to run X30 Senior at the Streets of Lancaster. He was right in the fight. That's the thing about Matt, right? You just know he can still be in the fight with the senior drivers, which is cool.
Yeah, it's something he's done before at Lancaster, and yep. I think it was a great way to help him get motivated a little bit as he went to France to represent Superkarts USA at the IAME International Final, which is going on right now. Today being Friday, he actually has an off day because he was able to qualify into the main event for Saturday, so that's good on him. Obviously, the little bit of testing at Lancaster certainly helped him to get warmed up for the trip to France.
All in all, David, a really solid weekend. You've been there many times, so you know what the crowd's like. As I had said earlier, a really good crowd all weekend long. In fact, a really strong crowd on Sunday as well. And it's interesting, David, and we'll talk more about it because one of the topics is whether or not Streets of Lancaster is going to be back next year. There's a potential that the track could get moved, we're being told. So, and then of course Tom was trying to talk to kind of playing with the city council and the board and the city itself about whether or not it's going to come back at the end of the day at the award presentation. We'll say, hey, are we coming back or what? Interesting though with the crowd, David. Every year we go back, we see so many faces that we've seen before. It's almost like there's guys that come out every year, right? They bring their kids out every year. We're kind of watching their kids grow up over the last couple of years. I've talked to some parents who have got their kids into the sport because they've come to the Lancaster race to watch it and wanted to do it themselves. I talked to a couple this year who are planning on getting into the sport because their young son or daughter were all jacked up and wanted to go racing. So the crowd was huge, as always, in Turn 5, right at the corner there of Ehrlich and the Boulevard. But, man, it's cool to see people come back. And they want to come back and tell us that they're back again this year. They've been waiting all year for the race to come back.
Well, when you have the event 11 straight years, it does build that fan participation, that dedication, the fan dedication, not just for the racers themselves, but for the people who live in Lancaster or the surrounding Valley area. It's an event. That's essentially what street racing does. It's not just about racing. It's an event where you, like you said, you have the boulevard there full of bands and food, and then all the restaurants having specials throughout the weekend. It's a great event, and that's something when we follow the City of Lancaster Facebook page, I see the city's always putting on events, trying to just getting the community around certain events that go on throughout the year, and this is their big September event. This is where they bring in a number of corporate sponsors that help promote the event, and they bring in a lot of other opportunities for other things to happen throughout the weekend. They had some really notable bands there too, as well. Not Everclear. Was it Everclear?
Yeah,
no.
Everclear.
Everclear was there, which you're like, what are they doing playing this street race? So, obviously you have, there's a lot of politics involved with having a street race because you have a number of businesses that surround the actual facility itself. And there's a lot of money involved in shutting everything down and providing, workers to work. So there's a lot of politics that go on with this. It's nothing that Rock Island Grand Prix hasn't dealt with over the 25 events that they've hosted, or any other type of street races that you see in motorsports. It's just, hopefully things get worked out. We've heard things leading up to the race, and now hopefully maybe now that they've had the 11th event, maybe it'll help turn the tide to come back and say, hey, yeah, we need to keep this in the Boulevard.
Well, as you said, David, it takes a lot to put a race like this on. I want to say the budget's over $350,000 to put the race on itself. Of course, all the staff that's there, all the fencing, everything it takes to put that race on. And you know how they do it as well, Dave. They have the full, there's the after party right there at the Boulevard as well. It wasn't really well attended this year, but again, open bar and tunes playing. It was a really, really cool atmosphere. You mentioned sponsors as well. Toyota of Lancaster, one of the big sponsors of the event, the presenting sponsor. And I think they really want this race to continue to go. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they bring this event back for 2020. I know that a lot of people would love to have it back, racers included.
Well, yeah. I mean, you think about it. If you move it away from the Boulevard to a different location that's away from everything, you're essentially doing what kart tracks do. Kart tracks are away from everything. Yeah. Nobody travels there to go watch a race. This is something that we're bringing an event to you, and that's the one thing that street racing has the ability to do. We're bringing racing to you.
Yeah, you take it to the people. That's exactly it. We've been saying that for many, many years. It's a great way to expose karting to people that may not know about it. All right, folks, stick with us. More to come. We'll get into the race by race breakdown, the race report, coming up next.
If the dream is IndyCar, set your target on the road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Our ladder system is designed to take drivers through 3 rungs of competition. The first step is the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship, which features a carbon tub Tatis chassis, 180 horsepower, and paddle shift sequential gearbox. Boost the USF 2000's output to 280 horsepower for the newly named Indy Pro 2000 program, the second rung of the road to Indy, formerly known as Pro Mazda. Add in increased grip and aero downforce, and the Tatis PM18 becomes an incredible racing machine. The final step before IndyCar is the Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. The Dallara IL15 boasts a whopping 450 horsepower. This car itself has helped train a third of the grid expected for the 2019 IndyCar Series. At all 3 levels, you race at premier venues on the same dance card as IndyCar. Showcase your skills under the watchful eyes of IndyCar scouts and owners. The program is unprecedented around the world, offering the opportunity to climb the ladder with over $2 million in scholarships to the champions in USF 2000, Indy Pro 2000, and Indy Lights. Former Carters fill the roster of Road to Indy graduates in IndyCar like Spencer Piggott, Zach Beach, Jack Harvey, Ed Jones, Matthias Laced, Felix Rosenquist, Colton Herta, and 2018 Indy Lights champion Pato O'Ward. Recent graduates like Kyle Kirkwood are in the middle of their journeys right now as well. Follow in their footsteps. If you want to race IndyCar, there's only one choice. The Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires.
Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kartsport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. Along with being the official race team and distributor for the Kart Republic chassis, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and products from the top brands in the sport, such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF bearings, and Prisma tire gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they also offer driver training and coaching programs available trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components that you need. While you're there, check out their used section of karts, engines, parts, and accessories. Kartsport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, the EKN Debrief for the most recent running of the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. We're about, 2.5, 3 weeks from the event, so it took a little while for us to get this one locked in, but it's been busy here at EKN World Headquarters. A tough run for myself, 11 races over 13 weekends. Had a chance to kind of reset and get back at it, and of course, David Cole and I now both focusing forward on the upcoming SuperKart USA Super Nationals in November. Let's jump into the race-by-race, the class-by-class race report. This one brought to you by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-7223. All right, David, let's jump in here with the X30 senior class. Not surprising, Ryan Norberg, national number 1, 4-time defending SuperKart USA Pro Tour champion. It still amazes me when I have to say that, because 4 years in a row he's won the X30 Senior Championship, dominated the action, qualified on pole, won the pre-final, ends up winning the main event over Nick Ramirez. As we said, Matt Johnson running in the senior category. It was interesting though, David. Ryan led early. Jumped out to the lead the first, I think, 8 laps of the race. Joseph Denali though stepped up. Both Ramirez was in the hunt as well. Denali did take the lead at one point, but David, as you would expect at Lancaster, midway point of the race, 6 drivers, nose to tail. That was the lead group. Johnson, Norberg, Ramirez, they all ended up pulling it away, but it was just a stereotypical senior race, man. They were lined up and pushing hard.
Well, that's the part about this facility or this circuit. If you get into a rhythm, you can keep pace with the drivers ahead of you, as long as everybody keeps their position cleanly, and nobody gets too crazy. You're able to kind of maintain your pace and kind of measure everybody up. And again, it's all about limiting those mistakes, and that's a big part of street racing and racing at the X30 senior level as it is limiting those mistakes. So you are able to get those larger lead packs.
And as you know, David, it is the longest straightaway in North American karting. We haven't talked about that yet. 1,000 feet. Now, you come out of a very tight left-hand hairpin, so if it was a 90-degree leading on there, you'd have even higher top speeds. But 1,000 feet a foot straightaway, David, the minute, if you're in that lead draft pack, you're getting the draft. There's no doubt about it. And then when the guys start going too wide, coming down into turn 5, the left-hander at the end of the straightaway, they're punching even bigger hole in the air. Plus, the driver on the outside, if they are side by side, has to check up a little bit. So if there is passing up front, as there was in X30 Senior, and anywhere in that top 6, if you're there in 6th, 5th, or 6th, you're going to get an opportunity to roll more speed through that corner. It keeps things tight with the action in turn 5.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Drafting is a major part of it, especially at the speeds that the X30 Senior category is moving along there. Even in the 175 category where the speeds are even higher, that's drafting is a big part of it. One
of the things about Ryan Norberg, and he talked about this in his interview afterwards, was the fact that he led early, and then he has that. He's got the patience, right? He's just learned so much over the last number of years. He's just such a composed driver that he slotted in a second. I think Joseph Denali, as I said, took the lead at one point. Nick Ramirez was right there as well, and I think that Ryan he didn't think he needed the lead. He wanted to make sure he was going to be in second. He wanted to make sure he was able to make a move. But at one point, he said to me in the interview was just, you know what? I decided that the lead was the place to be. Like, I didn't want to mess around with anything. He ended up going back to the lead. And when he did that, it was the battle behind him, David, that kind of allowed him to get that gap, right? Nick Ramirez was really going at it. Matt Johnson went to second for a time. But with them going back and forth, and as we talked about, when you're side by side, you're losing a little bit of exit speed. The minute they started racing for second, Norberg was able to pull away. It was a classic Norberg performance, right? Let them battle behind you and stretch away.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to be in second spot, especially in street racing. That's because you're not quite sure what's going to happen in front of you, or even being in third, because if the two guys ahead of you get together, you might not have anywhere to go. So yeah, True. It was a good move for Norberg, but good to see Ramirez up there. Ramirez has continued to kind of pick up the pace. I know he's been a good driver in the K100 category, and oftentimes does double duty. But good to see him pull off a runner-up finish.
Yeah, it was a good pass to get by Matt Johnson and take that second position. As I said, Johnson coming home third. A really good run, and it was a shame that he had the trouble in the pre-final. Jake Drew had to start at the very, very tail of the field, started 16th in the order, ended up racing his way up to 4th. At one point, David, he was closing that up on that lead group, and in doing my play-by-play, I'm like, let's see if Drew can get to 6th. Well, when he got to 6th, he immediately went to 5th and then went to 4th. So we've seen some good runs out of Jake Drew over the years. And again, one of the top senior drivers in the country now. Let's look at the points. Ryan Norberg ends up with that point championship. Billy Musgrave coming home in second. Didn't really have the pace on the weekend to run for the race win. He ends up second in the points, and Joseph Denali rounding out the top 3. That's the Pro Kart Challenge points as well. We'll update those with each category because, of course, Pro Kart Challenge, the finale, we finally got things locked out. And I know SCUSA David came out with their final point results, making it official on those who won the championship this year.
Yeah, Norberg competing for the first time in the California Pro Kart Challenge, being a Florida driver, but the Rawlson Performance Group is now into I believe their 3rd year following the series, so that helped bring Norberg out there. Denali was last year's champion, so he drops to 3rd, and then Musgrave there still was in championship contention going into the weekend, but as you said, didn't quite have the pace to compete or to contend at Lancaster.
Before we jump into our next commercial break, let's talk about the 4 categories that were racing on the Saturday night show. And that's one of the things they do at Streets of Lancaster. As I said, the drivers of the Pro Shifter category, it's already been Shifter and X30 Senior, But in the pro shifter class, they qualify, run their pre-final, and run their main event on Saturday. They're the ones that run under the lights this year. And it was, Dave, it was another Croc Promotion USA battle. Of course, Billy Musgrave and Jake French, the two teammates going head-to-head. Musgrave qualified on the pole. He comes in, of course, as the defending race winner, the poster boy, right, David? He's on all the banners, getting all the love from the marketing for the streets of Lancaster throughout the weekend. Musgrave qualifies on the pole, wins the pre-final, but in the main event, Musgrave led early. Jake kind of hung in behind him there. It was a two-driver battle. They pulled away, kind of bided their time for the first half of the race. Lap 15, 5 to go. French, I don't know if there was contact or not. I've seen some in-car video, and it does look like there may have been, but I'm not sure. But just a little, maybe a little love tap into the turn 4 hairpin. They go side by side, come out of the hairpin. French able to take the lead from there. Musgrave put the heat on him throughout the remainder of the race, last 5 laps. But Jake French winning this particular inter-team battle in the Croc Promotion USA crew as he gets his first win. Only his second start at the streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, but a big one for Jake French for him to get that victory. And another win for Croc Promotion USA. Man, they are racking up the shifter kart wins this year.
Yeah, a number of wins. Jake now went, was that 3 for 3 if you go back to the Summer Nationals. He might have won something else, maybe a LAKC race, but we'll just go 3 for 3 in the last 2 races that he's done with Croc Promotion. But yeah, I mean, sometimes teammates got to race a little bit hard, and contact or no contact, French got the job done, and obviously Musgrave probably had some of his opportunities there and just wasn't able to capitalize.
Yeah, it was just great racing, and to watch these two talented drivers go at it. You know, where we are, at least my announcing tower, right on the outside of turn 5. It's just so much fun to watch those guys come into the end of that straightaway, 1,000-foot straightaway, probably 90 miles an hour, 91, 92 miles an hour coming down into that corner. It's only 20 feet wide down that straightaway, and they get on the brakes. The car's kind of jinking back and forth. They release, get back on the power coming through turn 5, and the fans absolutely love it, especially under the lights, because, David, you know how cool shifter karts look under the lights, sparking like crazy. It was awesome. I love it.
Oh, I love, any kart racing and under the lights is awesome.
I agree. Musgrave ends up winning the points championship. So French wins the battle, but Billy Musgrave wins the war. He wins once again the points championship of the Pro Kart Challenge. Jake French comes home second overall. Cody Hodgson third in points, and I'll add in that Robert Heck Jr. on the CRG capping off the podium in the Pro Shifter 1 category. But Billy Musgrave, David, another championship in the Pro Kart Challenge.
6 now for Billy Musgrave in the California Pro Kart Challenge. 6 out of the last 7 years championships for him. And then also he lost, but he did end Jake French did end his winning streak. Musgrave had 11 victories going into Lancaster, having won all 6 races last year, winning the first 5 rounds this year, and then French decided to pull the plug on that.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? David, you had that Throwback Thursday up on Facebook, on the EKN Facebook, going back to Billy at the Super Nationals in what 2000? What year was that? Was that 2012, whatever it was?
Flashback Friday.
Friday. There you go. Isn't that crazy?
We got another one coming today.
Isn't it crazy though that what Billy's been able to do since kind of coming in here as this raw rookie at a motocross, and just, man, the resume he's amassed is unbelievable.
Well, it's folk. I mean, you've had those interviews with him here on the EKN Radio Network. It's just he's focused on being the best and being able to perform at his best and again limit those mistakes. And when he finds something that they falter at or they need to improve, that's what they go to the track for on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays to do. Because he's at the track nearly every day of the week.
And that's the commitment, right? That's what it takes if you want to be one of the best drivers in the country. Billy, of course, a multi-time winner of the Super Nationals, just needs that Pro Tour Championship to cap off that resume. He'll be going for that in 2020 for sure.
He's going for the 4th victory at the Super Nationals, which
has
only been done by Connor De Felipe.
Yep, you're right. And that's the other little what do you got? Tip of the hat it would be if he's able to get that 4th victory this year. It'll be tough. There's lots of guys going at him.
Here's the thing. Would you rather have 4 Super National victories or one Pro Tour championship?
4 Super Nationals victories.
There you go.
That's what
so it's not a bad trade-off, right?
Hey, let's bring this up as well. Streets of Lancaster, the last opportunity for Billy Musgrave and Jake French to go head-to-head as well as teammates.
As teammates, I didn't want to say anything about it, but I was going to say we're going to save it for our next podcast next week. But for as teammates, so we'll see. Again, they have mutual respect for one another. Jake French is moving on to another operation with Burrell Art and PSL Karting, but I think they still have respect for one another. But I think we're still going to see Jake and Billy racing against one another very closely at the Super Nationals.
I think that they developed a very quick friendship. They got along really well, and the way they worked together at Croc Promotion USA, I think took both of them, their games to the next level. I'll say that right now because I think they fed off each other. They worked with each other. They almost coached each other to a certain extent. I think a great friendship, and we're going to see a lot more great racing in 2020 between two very, very talented drivers. Of course, one from California, one from Texas. David, 4 categories racing in that group on Saturday night. The Pro Shifter 2 class was a lot of fun to watch as well. Micah Hendricks came out of the gate strong, qualified on the pole, was able to win the pre-final as well, led the first 11 laps of the main event as well before Iman Fazlolahi was able to get by. Connor Robles came by with him as well, and this is what kind of turned things up. 20-lapper. Hendricks falls back into the 3rd spot. So then it's the battle between Fazlolahi and Connor Robles. And I'll tell you, Robles actually able to go by on lap number 13, takes the lead, and then drives on to the victory. It's been a really impressive season for Connor Robles. David, we saw him kind of step out at the Spring Nationals and then rock at the Summer Nats as well on the Pro Tour. You got to think that he's going to be a primary candidate for the championship in Pro Shifter 2 in 2020.
Well, it's that confidence builder. He's built it up throughout the season, not only at Pro Kart Challenge, but also through the Pro Tour, being able to land on the podium a couple times, as you said. And so going into Lancaster, he's like, let's go for it. And they went for it and was able to come away with a victory. And definitely he has the opportunity to be among those battling for Pro Tour or Pro 2 victory and at the Super Nationals upcoming next month. But also looking ahead to 2020, he's definitely going to put himself out there as one of the top contenders. Kind of like what we saw with Max Hewitt last year, kind of step up towards the end of the year, become a contender, and then was a contender all throughout 2019.
Well, let's put it this way. Connor Robles battling all throughout the season, not so much battling with, but finishing 2nd, 3rd, whatever it was, to Race Liberante. Race obviously is a driver with lots of experience. Pro 2 was a place for him to get back into the sport, having not driven the shifter kart for many years. He'll run Pro Shifter 2 at the Super Nats, but next year, Liberante's going to Pro 1. Connor Robles is going to be there to step in and say, you know what, my turn to shine, my turn to learn how to win races. So did a great job. I wanted to say that he and Fazlolahi able to get by Hendricks early, as I had said, slides into that spot, and then Robles getting by Fazlolahi as well on lap 13 to get the win. Robles actually ends up P1. Micah Hendricks was 2nd, and Aiden O'Neill ends up in the 3rd spot. I can't remember what happened to Fazlolahi for him not to finish on the podium. It doesn't, for some reason, it's not jogging my mind. It was 3 weeks ago. Fazlolahi does end up, though, winning the points championship.
How do you not remember this stuff, Rob?
I don't know, David.
This is your job.
True enough.
It says here he dropped down 5 seconds off the pace. So looks like there might have been, nope, there was no issues. So
there you go. Maybe just fell back.
Or maybe they typed it.
I don't know.
5 second penalty. There you go. 5 second penalty.
I will tell you this. This was kind of funny. On Saturday night, of course, and I'll rub this in for you. I went into In-N-Out Burger on the way home. We were all done for the day. And I came in, and it was John Crow, Iman Fazlolahi, and Billy Musgrave. And they Crow, there was just the 3 of them having lunch. And Crow called it the Losers Lounge.
It sounds about right.
Because, of course, John didn't get to the end of the race. He had the issue. I think it was the chain for him. Iman had the issue. He fell back a little bit. And then Billy obviously finishing 2nd to Jake French. So they were all kind of drowning their sorrows with a double-double, David. And
well, none of them really drink. So, yeah, why not do it with a great burger and some fries?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So
make me jealous because they had it and I didn't.
That's it. Because they're really. I was saying that they're not really the losers lounge because at least they're one step up on you. because they're going to be able to have a burger, and you did not have a burger.
I did not, no.
You did not. Also running in that particular group on Saturday night, the G1 and the G2 category, Carl Lewis coming away with the G1 win. As I said, Crow had a mechanical on lap number 3 while leading. An incident between Travis Irving and Brett Harrelson dropped them out of the race, I think, on lap 15 or something like that. So Carl Lewis ended up grabbing the win in the Aluminos chassis. Harrelson was I believe, second and Crow third. We won't go into it, but an issue with Travis Irving. He got DQ'd from the event. Points in the G1 category for Masters drivers on the 175. John Crow ending up with the championship. Carl Lewis in second. Rob Logan ended up third overall in the points. He did the first 3 races of the season. Hopefully we'll see more drivers in the G1 category next year. The only driver in the G2 class, the Supermaster category for the 175cc drivers, Patrick O'Neill. He was the only G2 entry of the year, only G2 entry of the race. But David, you probably won't be surprised with the fact that he was right there running with the big dogs, with Crow and everybody else in G1, because Patrick's a hell of a driver.
Yeah, former winner at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. Definitely he knows how to get around that track very well. And you don't want to get into the Irving thing? Come on, isn't that what podcasts are for?
Well, this is more of a debrief.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I don't want...
No, I was just going to say, hey...
The reason...
Okay, go ahead.
You go. You go. I wasn't going to comment on it because I didn't see it.
Okay.
I didn't see it, so I can't. I don't know what to say.
Gotcha.
Obviously,
good point. Then neither of us saw it, so we won't talk about it. Good idea.
Yeah, I don't. And people have asked me that. What do you think? And so, if you want to go really quickly into it, Harrelson and Irving get together in turn number 4. They get out of the cart, and again, I can't say what happened, but I guess there was some type of an altercation between Travis and Brett. I didn't see it, and people have tried to detail it to me, but I've heard, every time you hear a different vantage point of what it is, right? Well, this is what happened. This is what happened. I didn't see it. Anytime there's physical contact, the driver who does it is taken from the race and done for the day. So,
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to say anytime there's physical contact with another person, be it a driver or even an official or that type of situation. Yeah, I believe so. A heavy penalty needs to be laid down, and that's one thing I think SCUSA has definitely followed with as we date back to, say, Billy Cleveland at the Super Nationals when he pushed another driver and jumped on top of him. No punches were thrown, but it's still a form of assault, and that's the type of situations that you do not want at your events. So if you are at fault of that, then yes, you should be penalized heavily.
And that's it. And again, that's a really good.
And that's all I wanted to say.
It's probably a really good topic if we decide to do a roundtable now that the season's done. We're home here for a bit. We got the Supernats, then we're going to have essentially off until we get started again in the Winter Series races, and you're heading to Daytona for WKA. Well, let's have a couple of roundtables. Maybe that's a good roundtable deal. In the senior category, should the drivers be able to essentially take matters into their own hands? I watched some of the social media comments on it. And it's, hey, you know what? Let us take care of ourselves, police ourselves. Well, then it's short track stock car racing, right? Then you're having the scrap in the pits. You're having the all on fights. When you have a hard, fast rule of no contact, kind of takes care of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll talk more about it. All right, let's go to a break. Actually, when we come back, let's talk X30 Master and X30 Supermaster. That'll be the class we hit on when we get back here to the EKN Debrief.
From coast to coast, Miami has become the two-cycle engine of choice for American karting. Starting with the air-cooled 60cc Swift engine for micro and mini drivers, and moving through the incredible X30 power plant for junior, senior, and masters, Miami is providing much-needed stability for the sport. In 2018, the new KA100 Rejet engine took the karting community by storm, and it will be a core class on the SCUSA Winter Series and Pro Tour, as well as the United States Pro Kart Series, Route 66 Sprint Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup programs. Watch for more regions, series, and events to get on board with the new Miami formula. This year, Miami USA is debuting the new SSE 175cc shifter engine, which will be the foundation of Superkart's USA gearbox competition for the future. The engine has been custom designed with a balanced equation of performance and reliability. We have 2 distribution centers in the U.S. to serve you well. IAME East in Mooresville, North Carolina, and IAME West in Temecula, California. The momentum is continuing to build. It's time to make an investment in stabilizing your engine program. For more information, head to the website for your region, IAMEUSAEast.com or IAMEUSAWest.com. IAME, the heart of karting.
History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside of Indianapolis, and they have provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers throughout their near 6 decades of business. Comet's online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. Comet Kart Sales attends dozens of karting events every year, offering trackside service for racers and families. Karting veterans Mark Dismore Jr. and Gary Lawson provide one-on-one driver coaching and tuning assistance for each trackside customer. The engine building business, Comet Racing Engines, has won countless major events and championships over decades of karting, and they continue to offer the best trackside service in the industry. Make sure you head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be a part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole as we finally get around to our EKN debrief of this year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. It's a pretty hectic end of the season. We had a couple of events. I had a couple of events before Streets of Lancaster. We had one event after that as well. Kind of got back into the office, got things reset, took a deep breath, back at it. We're talking Race Report now. This particular edition of the Race Report brought to you by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Let's jump into X30 Master. And David, it's always kind of cool. You know, we've seen it before with Brendan Baker, but it's always cool when somebody from Lancaster can actually step up and, you know, and perform and get that home win. Well, that happened this particular year in X30 Master. Nick DeGraff on the MMK ends up qualifying on pole. Carlos Calderon comes from the tail of the field. He actually had an issue in qualifying. Somebody hit him in turn 5, got into the wall. He got a great start, but was able to go to the front. Carlos Calderon wins the pre-final, but he has an issue early in the main, goes to the sidelines. Nick DeGraff, though, stepping up with the win, David, but it wasn't without a battle because he had Billy Cleveland all over him. Brett Harrelson was there as well. The scrap went down to the very end in this particular category. Billy told me he probably just waited a little too long because he made a move coming out of turn number 5, was side-by-side on the inside of Nick coming up to the checkered flag, and I think he figured he probably could have got by him, but waited just to the very end. But I'll tell you, Dave, as a hometown Lancaster boy, Nick DeGraff, the emotion coming across the line, and then the emotion for the entire cool-down lap as he worked his way back to the scales before he jumped in the truck to come down for the interview, it was awesome to see because he was over the moon having won.
Yeah, we've seen not only just local drivers, but a lot of other drivers that just put that Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix at the top of their bucket list, and to be able to win there is cool. But yeah, to win on your home turf is definitely monumental. But yeah, like you said, waiting till the last lap might not always be the best option.
You mentioned that earlier. You mentioned that earlier, didn't you?
At the Streets of Lancaster, because again, you don't know what's going to happen in front of you, and it's almost better to get out in the lead and kind of get away if you can.
Yeah, Brett Harrelson ends up winning the championship. Steve Martin in second, Billy Cleveland in third. That was your championship run in the X30 Master class of the California Pro Kart Challenge. In the Supermaster category for X30, John Crow qualifies on pole, wins the pre-final, really has things handled. Crow was kind of the class of the field, leads 17 of the 20 laps, but comes out of turn 5, and all of a sudden, David, the pipe goes flinging around. Broke the pipe mount with just 3 laps to go. John Persing and Stu Hayner were running second and third. They get moved up to first and second. Tough one. Tough weekend overall for John Crow. He's the scholarship winner from last year. He's got the Streets of Lancaster suit on. Just wants to be able to have a good event and 2 technical DNFs. Tough one for John.
Well, at least he didn't have to pay for the entry, right?
That's true. That's very true. That's funny. Hey, listen, here's the one thing. And on the way into the track on Sunday morning, I stopped to talk to Stu Hayner. obviously for me and for I think a lot of us, just one of those guys we look at and we're like, damn, he's badass. 70 years of age, still running California Pro Kart Challenge. Told me at the start of the weekend that he just really wants to win this championship. And once he wins it, he'll probably retire to a certain extent. He's not going to be running full time. Stu Hainer finishes second on the racetrack, wins the championship over John Persing. Jeff Rice ends up in third in the title in the championship battle. But at 70 years of age, the X30 Supermaster champion for California Pro Kart Challenge, Stu Hainer. Pretty cool.
That's 25 years above the minimum age.
It is. And it means I've got 19 more years of racing still, which I like.
There you go. Right. It would be like a 40-year-old winning X30 Senior Championship.
You're right. That's exactly
so
right.
It'd be like me. It would be like me winning X30 Senior Championship. I'm so amazing.
You are so amazing, Dave. Also on track, the S3, S4, and S5. So the worst stock Honda still there, just not a huge field. There were a number of drivers in the S3 category, which I thought were great. S3, I think, had like 6 or 7, which is good. Vicente Salas ends up qualifying on pole, wins the pre-final as well. And we had a pretty good race, though, throughout the event. Salas had the lead early. Luca Bortone ran second. Jacob Pizzanato was right there in third as well. And kind of hanging back there was Chris Nunes. He's an off-road racer, running with our buddy Josh Huff at JH Motorsports. Starts coming on midway through the race. Gets a little closer. Mike Mantell was right in there battling as well. Let me throw that in there. So Mike Mantell was running in the S4 category. There's only 2 drivers in the S4 class. Jason Bennett was there as well. Or Justin Bennett, rather, was running. He went out early. Mantell's always wanted to win Lancaster, but he was the only S4 driver really running midway through the race. But he was battling it out with the guys in S3, going back and forth. So, again, we're thinking about overall race win as well. Salas ends up taking the lead from Mantell with 5 to go, lap 15. Mantell takes it right back. And then Salas and Bortone, David, both tried to get to the inside of Mantell coming into turn number 5. And we know how that happens. They were down the inside, right? So Mantell's on the outside. They got the most shallow entry coming through. They're trying to a big head of steam. I think that maybe Bortone might have gotten to the back of Salas a little bit, David, and you would not be surprised that Salas wasn't able to make the corner, end up just getting into the barriers on the exit. Bortone had to check up. Mantell was able to cruise underneath, like did the over-under. But it was just, Dave, one of those textbook Lancaster deals where you're trying to roll so much speed, an inside pass, and if you go too deep, you're just not going to make that corner.
You see it in the rental carts, you're going to see it in the real carts as well, too. It's a really tricky corner to try and hold that inside line if you can. And it doesn't always work.
So as they come through the corner, let's go from here now. Running in third spot in the category is Pizzanato, but he's got Chris Nunes all over him. So there's 5 laps to go coming through. Nunes stays right with him. Final lap, Pizzanato leads. Nunes able to get the lead away on the final circuit, gets the race win. Which I thought was pretty cool. So Chris Nunes ends up with the win. Jacob Pizzanato in the second spot on the Aluminos, and Luca Bortone, another Aluminos driver, finishing in third. But Nunes in the JH Motorsports Tony Kart coming away with the victory from P4. You just at a race like that, David, like you said, sometimes third could get in trouble. Mantell was able to stay out of the way. But sometimes if you're fourth, you may end up coming away with a victory. So that's just Lancaster.
Yeah, he ran the game plan I would have ran. I would have just kind of sat back and see what these guys were going to do, yep. and then it just, sometimes a victory just falls in your hands, and just being in the right place at the right time works out, and so that's what happened for him, and good on him. Again, like you said, the S3 category every year it's kind of been a cool race to watch.
Yeah, it has, and even with the incident, Vicente Salas ends up getting the points championship in the Pro Kart Challenge. He wins the title over Pizzanato and Bortone. That's your first, second, and third placers. Mike Mantell, as we said, getting the win in the S4 category, battling it out with the S3 drivers. And Jacob Yesnick won the pole in the S5 class. Mateus Coito was able to handle the pre-final, then went on to score the win in the main event. So Mateus Coito, the victor in the S5 Junior Stock Honda class. All right, folks, we get back from this break. What do we got left to do here? We got X30 Junior, we got KA100 Junior, Senior, and Master, Mini, and Micro Swift. We'll wrap up the race report from this year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix after this break. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport,
Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. We offer trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. We're also your Midwest home for Tony Kart and Miami, and we're your source for MG and Iveco tires in the region. Tony Kart quality cannot be beat, so call us today to put you in a new chassis for your next event. In 2020, we'll be racing and providing arrive and drive programs for the full SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and the Great Lakes Pro Kart Challenge, the WKA's Kart Weekend Daytona, and exciting events like the USAC Battle at the Brickyard and the Rock Island Grand Prix. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. For over 25 years, SuperKarts USA has been changing the face of American karting. The debut of the SCUSA Pro Moto Tour in 1999 totally transformed national-level karting in the U.S., and now the current Pro Tour is enjoying its unprecedented 10th season of competition. The SCUSA Pro Tour is the longest-running coast-to-coast national series in the sport. Nothing else has come close in the last 30 years. The Pro Tour is exciting, hardcore racing, but the foundation of SuperKarts USA is its regional programs, and we welcome all racers to come experience our style of events. Our flagship region is the California Pro Kart Challenge, a 6-weekend series that races from April to September from Fontana to Monterey. The Texas Pro Kart Challenge is in its 8th season and is in the middle of an exciting 6-race, 3-weekend schedule that takes drivers to Denton, Amarillo, and Houston. And new for 2019 is the return of the Great Lakes Pro Kart Challenge, where SCUSA was born and raised. The series features 4 weekends at Newcastle, Norway, and Road America. We'd love to have you experience our product, and we hope to see you at a future SuperKarts USA event. To learn more, head to superkartsusa.com. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode number 57 of the EKN Debrief, as David Cole and I break down this year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. David kind of coming in here to run some shotgun. He actually did not make the trek to the event this year. David, we're going to jump in here again. This is the race report presented by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, X30 Junior, and KA100 Junior. And it was really a dominant day, a breakout weekend for Max Opolsky. He qualifies on pole, wins the pre-final, and wins the main event in both races, David, in dominant fashion. For the Ryan Perry Motorsports driver, a breakout weekend for Opolsky. We've seen him kind of be a mid-pack, top 10 guy, but man, flawless this particular weekend.
Yeah, as you said, I've not seen him compete for a podium spot really all season long, and to be able to step up at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix like this and score both victories is huge, as you said.
Yeah, flat dominated the day, was able to get out front early in the final, and there was a couple incidents early in turn number 5 that kind of shuffled everybody behind him. There was contact between Frankie Mossman and Blake Nash, and then the next one was between Caleb Schrader, and Alexander Berg. They were battling each other. They ended up getting tapped into the wall a little bit. Berg tried to make a move. I think Schrader was right there with him. They made a little bit of contact. Tommy Trailer was right there in 4th or in 6th and did an awesome job kind of getting out of the contact. Little evasive maneuvers, jink left, jink right, coming through there to get 4th. But in the final laps, Alexander Berg and Blake Nash actually refired things up once again. Opolsky's gone. He's checked out, hitting all the marks. He's got the race win handled, but the battle for second was awesome. Nash had it for a bit, then Berg took it back. And then I think Berg made the pass or had the spot coming out of turn 4. So hard to see all the way down in turn number 4, and especially at that time of the day with the light coming down as it was, even hard to see on the big screen. Berg just got into the wall, David, on the exit of the hairpin. I think he probably would have had second. That allowed Nash to slip through for the runner-up spot, and Caleb Schrader on the Cosmic kind of inheriting third. But it was cool to see Alexander Berg step things up. We saw him at the Spring Nationals in Utah have a really good run there. But man, he turned things up and really probably deserved a second place finish in X30 Junior, but came up just short in the wall in turn 4. We've seen that before.
Yeah, it's just part of the deal. The hairpin, it's a tricky corner because you can carry a lot of speed in there. So it's finding that perfect momentum through there because it's such a slow corner. I mean, we crawl. You can stand there and you can almost run faster than they crawl through there.
Yeah, like you said, you can carry so much speed into it, but it's a tight corner, like you said, and you can just imagine what's going through Alexander's mind, right? It's like, I've got to get out of this corner. I got to nail this perfectly. I got to run it all the way out to the wall. And when you do that, you could have some trouble. And it's interesting. I talked to Mike Smith as well. We were chatting about the fact that hitting your marks. And Ryan Norberg even said it. When you're trying to lay down a qualifying lap, you got to be an inch from the wall every time, every corner. He goes, you can't do that every time, though, because you make a mistake. But to get that speed, to be able to have the kind of exit speed that I think Alexander probably needed to hold off Blake coming down the straightaway, he had to get right to the wall. And the thing about those barriers, David, is they are unforgiving. If you tap them ever so slightly, if it's just too much, they just suck you right in.
It's all about angles and inches, right?
That's true. That's very true. In the end, so again, Max Opolsky walking away, wins the race. Blake Nash second, Caleb Schrader in third. In the Pro Kart Challenge points, Josh Pearson actually winning the championship. Max Opolsky with that dominant run, moving himself up to second, and Blake Nash finishing third overall in the championship. Essentially carbon copy, David. I could just say exactly the same thing about Opolsky in the KA100 junior class. He was absolutely dominant. Qualifies on pole, wins the pre-final again, and again stretches away in the main event and just gone. Same thing as X30 Junior, early race contact with the turn 5 barriers. Caleb Schrader got a little too wide coming through the corner. He hits the wall, bounces back out. Frankie Mossman had nowhere to go, center punches him. So it's a couple of turn 5 incidents for Frankie Mossman. Opolsky just ran away with it, his second win of the day. But the battle from second back to sixth was super fun to watch. Jacob Yesnick, Kyriakis Siakis, Logan Toke, Ethan Lampy, and Haley Schroeder, David, all in this battle. And it's KA100 junior racing. Or kids to say it's just KA100 racing completely. It's just so close. Every driver so evenly matched. They were running nose to tail for a majority of the race.
Yeah, you got to find the right position and the right time to make a pass because, as you said, with the K100 engines, everybody's fairly equal because, again, Streets of Lancaster, it's flat out in a lot of sections. I'm not quite sure how fast they are through 1 and 2, but I'm sure it's got to be close to almost being flat out. So, yeah. You definitely got to pinpoint your maneuvers accurately. And when you get, again, four to five guys running together, it just you never know what quite's going to happen. But it's good to see some great fighting and clean racing.
Yeah, in the end, Siakis on a Fullerton ends up finishing second. Jacob Yesnick, another Fullerton driver, in that third spot. The racing was tremendous in KA100 Junior. But again, the spotlight on Max Opolsky absolutely just dominated the action, pulled away for another race win. 2 victories, back-to-back jacks at the Streets of Lancaster. Josh Pearson, another championship as well. So he wins the title in both X30 Junior and KA100 Junior. Ethan Lampy ends up in second, and Jacob Yesnick rounding out the top 3. KA100 Senior. Interesting, David, to see kind of the shift of where people are jumping to. Biggest field on the weekend, I think 28 karts. It was an awesome field of drivers. Alex Saragusa on the comp card ends up qualifying on pole. Oliver Calvo in the pre-final takes that win there to qualify on the pole position for the main. I'll tell you, the final was everything you would have expected out of a KA100 senior class with so many good drivers. Tremendous racing, wild opening laps. Oliver Calvo and Michael Mischoff swapping the lead early. Luke Selican was in there. Nick Ramirez, you mentioned him earlier, running in the KA100 senior class, doing double duty. Jensen Altzman and Saragusa also in that lead group. David, it was I say wild opening laps. It was wild. The fans, every time they came through 5, somewhere in that top 6 or 7, somebody was too wide coming through. It was the crowd was loving it in K100 Senior.
Well, yeah, you're going to get that good run off turn 4 out of the hairpin. So, yeah, that's your optimal time to get a pass in the K100 category. You get a good run down the straightaway, and you probably have 2 by 2 by 2 probably at one point
yeah.
one under another.
Lots of passes in turn number 3 as well. As you said, holding so much speed through 1, so much speed through 2. You get a lot of, you're rolling so much speed, a lot of bite coming through 2. It's that, onto the brakes down into 3 where a lot of guys made that pass on the inside. Michael Mischoff was actually out early. Lap number 8, contact in turn number 4. That was it for Mischoff. Nick Ramirez actually took the lead at the halfway point, but Oliver Calvo took it back to lead the last 5 laps. And then things got exciting. It got really wild, actually. So at one point, let's say lap 19, Luke Selikin's slowly working his way forward. And David, you talked about a little bit of the strategy, right? Where do you want to be? Selikin was back in like 4th or 5th. He goes to 3rd. He goes to 2nd. He ends up leading about half the lap of turn number 19. I want to say that he led, I think Calvo took it back in turn number 5. So he makes the move to the inside of turn 5. Out of 5, Calvo is your leader. Cross the line. Aaron Lyken's right there. Give him the white flag. Selikin right there in 2nd spot. So they come out of turn 4. And, you've seen so many of those races at Lancaster. You know what's going to happen. Comes out of turn 4, goes wide, comes right back to the inside. All the way down the 1,000-foot straightaway. He's on the inside. Not going to give Selikin a chance to do that inside move. Selikin tries the outside. He's fully around the outside. Got him. They're on the outside, coming through turn number 5. And Oliver says there's no contact. From where I thought I saw a little bit of contact, but to me, it doesn't even matter. Anyways, it's hardcore racing. Selikin's trying the outside move, which is, as you know, very low percentage because number 1, you got to be able to hold it. Number 2, you have to have no contact at all coming through. There might have been a bit. Selikin just doesn't make the corner. He ends up tagging the wall. He's out of the race, and Calvo slides through for another win at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. It was exactly what we were hoping for, an epic finish for that class.
I swear I saw something very familiar a couple weeks ago. There was a red cart in front of me that got pushed off the similar way. I
don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's just, as you said, it's side-by-side racing, and the inside guy might drift out a little bit further than he wants to, where the outside guy wants to snug it as much as he can. So I'm sure there was contact, and again, it's racing contact. It's part of racing. I'm sure Selikin feels that way now that it's been a couple weeks after, but I'm sure he would have much rather have hugged and dropped Calvo down a little bit lower than probably what he was, just to make sure that he had that couple of inches on the exit to maybe get away without making contact with the wall.
Well, it's easy for us to say that, right? We're not the guy behind the wheel. Luke Selikin, of course, one of the best drivers. He's a tremendous driver. We know, we've watched him come up the ranks, and he's on the outside trying to hold on at the very edge of adhesion, just trying to stay out of the wall. Oliver Calvo's got a very shallow entry, right? He's coming in on the inside. So the car's going to push out. There's no way it's not going to have a little bit of oversteer coming into that corner. And all it would have taken, David, honestly, even if he leaned on him a little bit, right? And that's fine. That's totally legal because you're side by side with the guy. You're going to lean on him. You're allowed to have some contact. It wasn't like he punted him. He just rolled through that corner, and even just enough to lean on Luke enough, the car's just going to slide out a little bit. That's all it is.
Yeah, again, you have experience, so I don't know exactly how you would handle that situation.
Put more wheel into it, like you said. I should have put more wheel into it.
No, to be honest, if I was Luke, I would have put a little bit more wheel into it to get to. Again, side by side contact is not a big issue, and it's part of racing. So even if he's on the outside, you got to hug Calvo a little bit more than what you probably would typically in order to keep away from that wall, because he's going to come up into you no matter what. So I don't know. It's a really tricky, but it's a fun corner to watch.
David is referring to the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals, where in one of the heat races, a couple of guys were coming on the inside of me. I got drafted up on the inside in turn 5, and I probably should have pinched down even more than I did. But that driver got into the curb on the inside, then of course shooting me out into the grass. It was
the great part. The great part is I have it on video because I was actually behind you at that point.
Damn it! I want to see that. That sucks so bad. And that after the awesome heat race I did have, that one really kind of pissed me off. But hey, I live and learn, my friend. I will pinch next time. I'll pinch. Calvo ends up getting the win by just 0.09 of a second over Jensen Altzman. Alex Saragusa coming home in that third spot. And for Oliver Calvo, Dave, 4 wins at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. This guy's got the handle on it. It's his first season in the senior categories, having won in the junior classes. Oliver's a pretty good shoe. And let's just say this. We talk about Streets of Lancaster being kind of that testing ground, David, getting things dialed in for the Super Nats. I'm just saying.
Don't do it.
He's going to the Super Nats with a head of steam and some momentum, right? Some confidence.
I've said that every year he's won, and he's done nothing at the Super Nats after I've said that.
Just throwing it out there. I said it this time, not you. You're the jinxer.
Okay,
you are
good,
the jinxer.
Because I am done putting my money on Oliver Calvo. I mean, I've come up empty every year. Okay, so he was in June. Yeah, you're right. This was the first senior year, so I'm trying to find the.
Remember, he was going for the Triple Crown last year. Remember the big money from the IKF Grand National, Streets of Lancaster, and Super Nats, $10,000.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, because I had him as a top contender the last 3 years in junior racing.
Well, listen, and do that
at the Super Nationals.
Snub him this year, and he will rub it in your face. It's perfect.
I am going to snub him.
And he's going to.
I've had it 3 times and you're out, right?
And he'll just rub it in your face on top of the podium. There you go.
Well, but again, that KA 100 senior category is just going to be phenomenal.
It is going to be. Last year was amazing. This year is going to be just as good. Anyways, Calvo, 4 times a winner at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, wins the championship in the Pro Kart Challenge as a result as well. Nick Persing coming second overall. And Christopher Martin, third in the championship points, the Pro Kart Challenge championship points. 3 more categories still to wrap up here in the race report. KA100 Master, Mini Swift, and Micro. KA100 Master, David Cole, your friend and mine, Mike Smith, absolutely dominating the action. The general manager from the CalSpeed Karting Complex in Southern California in Fontana. Smith was just phenomenal. Ends up qualifying on the pole, wins the pre-final, walks away in the main event as well. Good battling behind him. PP Master was in the big fight. He ends up finishing in second. Robert Perez comes home in third. But, dude, straight up, Mike Smith did not put a wheel wrong all weekend long. And he, like Norberg saying you got to get close to the wall in every corner, Mike was telling me that he felt pretty good with the kart, so he made sure he left himself some room until the pictures came out from the weekend. And he realized that he really wasn't leaving himself as much room as he thought. He was like an inch from the wall in a couple of the pictures.
Well, but if you feel like you are,
that's true.
I think that's better, because if you feel like you're like hitting it where you're still like 6 inches away, that's the issue. But if you feel like you're 6 inches away yet you're only an inch away, that's probably a little bit better, because it makes it. It probably means he felt comfortable. He understood what the kart was doing throughout the weekend, and that's why he swept the weekend, I think, because he was in tune. He became one with the kart.
Nick DeGraff was right in there battling it out with PP Mastro as well. I want to say, and I don't have it in my notes, but I know Mike and I talked about it. I think he did get a penalty from Neil Strickland for a jump start at one point, but it was a 5-second penalty, and his lead was whatever it was, 15 seconds or whatever. And so he still won the race, even with the 5-second penalty. But I think Neil had it set up where you actually couldn't punch off until the start-finish line for those races.
Yeah, it was in the pre-final. He did get a 3-second jump start penalty, but he actually won by still 8.
I did thoroughly
seconds.
Enjoy the conversation we had that evening with Neil and Mike bitching about it. That was fantastic, though, because we had a conversation about where the.
Oh, I would have loved to have been in that, because that rule still
I hate it.
Bothers me, because I understand. Yeah, you have a certain area where you want drivers to punch off. I understand that, but the pole sitter determines when we go.
Agreed.
And no matter what, that is how I feel about racing.
David, has it almost got to the point right now where qualifying on pole is not a good thing, right? It's a disadvantage.
No, I'd much rather qualify third. I would much rather qualify third because I don't have to worry about anything other than staying on the bumper of the guy in front of me. If he jumps, it doesn't matter because I didn't jump. I went with him.
So Mike Smith ends up winning the points championship. Ricardo Arruda in second and Steve Jasinski in third. But nonetheless, just to cap it, a tremendous run for Mike Smith on the FA kart. Dominates the weekend and wins in KA 100 Master. In the minis,
we need to race.
I'd love
that.
That'd be fun.
Sure.
I'd love to do that. I need to do some more 100cc racing. That was a hell of a lot of fun earlier this year. Let's jump to Mini Swift. Jack Schrady on the Ricardo, qualifying on the pole position. Enzo Delaney, though, moving to the front in the pre-final. Delaney would lead early, in the main event. Schrady fell from his off-pole position back to fourth in the early going, but he fought his way back, just kind of slowly, got relaxed, got back into the groove. Schrady then went by Keegan Kaminsky, then able to get by Isaac Gutierrez back to second. And in fact, then would go to the lead right at the halfway point, but he and Delaney kind of went back and forth a little bit. Gutierrez eventually would take the lead from third in turn number one. That's what caught me off guard really late in the race. I can't see one, obviously, from where I'm calling. For all I can see is turn 5. But the big screen allows me to see most of the stuff that happens. But with the cameras, the static cameras they have, we can hardly see turn 1 because I think the camera for turn 1 is like on the way down into turn 2. So you hardly see people coming out. And then once they come through turn 2, we get that straight on camera back from turn number 3. So I couldn't see it. He actually went from third to first, I believe, in turn number 1. So here we go. Here's the battle. So he runs the defensive line into the final corner. Gutierrez does. Schrady trying the outside move, just like we saw out of Luke Selikin. He, again, grabs the spot. As he's on the outside. He's got the position, but made contact with the wall. Schrady ends up going out. Gutierrez gets the victory. Delaney finishes second, and Keegan Kaminsky in third. I was pumped for Jack Schrady. Of course, into the wall, David, there. He tried it. He was going for the race win, is what you got to do at Lancaster. And the cool thing about the Lancaster race, so Jack Schrady out of the cart, helmet comes off. I get the crowd say, listen, here he is, folks, Jack Schrady. He went for it for you. The crowd erupts, all the cheers. So Jack at least got a little bit of love from the crowd.
Yeah, I was just, as you were talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I know it's coming. Coming. And like you said, that at least when you wreck in turn 5, there's a crowd there to kind of pick you back up. And I think that's a cool thing. Because if you wreck in turn 1 or 2, there's nobody there that's going to pick you up. Not even the loser cruisers.
You're by yourself, crying by yourself.
You're by yourself. Yeah. So at least, like you said, you got to go for it. It was a smart move. Yeah. You try and hold the outside. And as you said, he almost had it, but just that one little slip into the wall that's going to grab you and catch you. And that's what happened. So at least now he knows from experience, he's done it and can learn from it and move on.
I love that he tried it. I thought that was fantastic because Gutierrez, of course, down to the inside like you're supposed to. You run the defensive line. I love that Jack Schrady tried it. It was awesome. He ends up finishing second overall in the points. Jesus Vasquez, the champion in the Mini Swift category for this year's Pro Kart Challenge. Schrady in that second spot and Ryan Persing rounding out the top 3.
Yeah, Vasquez won all 5 rounds going into the weekend, and I don't think he even raced at Lancaster, did he?
No, I don't think he did. No. Why not? Just you've already got the season ready to go. Drop it and move on. Let's wrap things up here with Micro Swift. Alex Mercado on the Paralympic qualifying on the pole position. G3 Argueros ends up winning the pre-final start on the pole position. Really an impressive run by Logan Chambers. He was able to work his way to the front with a couple of really solid passes, gets the victory. Chambers, just a really strong run, and we had a good interview at the end afterwards after he'd won. He was our first driver because, as you know, David, at Lancaster, the drivers come back to the scales. I think they go through the scales, and then they put the guy in the back of the Toyota Tundra from Toyota of Lancaster. He's able to get that kind of cruise around, everybody waving and cheering for the winner in the back of the truck. Interview in turn number 5, and Logan did a great job with the interview as well. But it was a really, really good pass for the race win. He takes the victory. Graham Trammell in second, and Argueros ends up in third. Trammell, though, wins the championship. Chambers second, and Mercado third. Graham Trammell with the championship in the Micro Swift category.
Now, see, Chambers might be one I put my money on in Micro because Chambers won earlier this year at the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals at Cal Speed. So he might be one to kind of bet on in Micro. And obviously Trammell, now 2-time champion in the micro Swift category. He's going to be another one that we're going to have to watch in Las Vegas.
So let's wrap things up here, folks. Look at the Constructors' Championship breakdown, 10 different brands scoring race wins. It's interesting, David, depending on what races we're at, right? You're going to see different brands step up. There'll be some brands that just run USPKS or WKA. Other guys are on the SCUSA Pro Tour. A lot of drivers on the FA karts, with Nash Motorsports being one of the teams, obviously. So they end up with 4 wins. Croc Promotion, of course, with 3 wins. And interesting, a single race weekend for the Pro Kart Challenge as well. We didn't talk about any double races, just one race. Jake French winning on the Croc Promotion, Connor Robles and Mateus Coito. A couple of victories for Luminos and Mike Mantell and Carl Lewis. Just a single win for CRG for Patrick O'Neill. Ricardo with the win, Cosmic, Tony Kart, Top Kart, Parolin, and MMK, all with 1 victory in that deal. So FA Kart getting the 4 wins. But, David, again, a lot of talk of this race as we wrap things up here from this year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix, that this could be the last edition of the event. People have heard rumors about the potentially wanting to move the race to the fairgrounds. Tom Kutcher's told us that the talks are still ongoing with the city. I know Toyota of Lancaster really want to have it back. We'll see if this is the last Lancaster. I don't know. It's kind of a bucket list race for a lot of people. I would hope that more people would have came for this year. We may not be back there next year. We may. We'll see.
Yeah, we already covered it, kind of how amazing the 11-year run has been. SCUSA has been involved with it, I believe, for now 9 years of either 8 or 9 years of the event. It's really what it differentiates from any other street race is how the city is really involved with it. And when I say city, I'm not talking just the attendees, but I'm talking actually the city of Lancaster and the Parks and Rec department that get involved and help, set up the events along with SCUSA, and just the camaraderie between an organization, a karting organization, and an actual city is phenomenal. And what they do is just. It's top level. I mean, there's nothing, like you said, the television screen that they have broadcasting to show everybody sitting there in turn 5. So you can go around the track and see different areas. But it's just, it's just phenomenal what the city and SCUSA have been able to do.
Agreed. It's an incredible event. The way they approach it is just tremendous. Overall, racing, I think, was pretty good. If I step back, I'll give it a B+, maybe even an A-. It was some really good racing. Maybe even just an A, because to be honest, it was really good. We didn't have any major incidents in that tight right-hand turn 3, as I talked about. As usual, we're going to get some shunts in turn number 5. Guys overcooking it, tapping, maybe getting on the brakes too early, locking it up. But David, every year, and it's right in front of us, the barrier setup they have, the plastic barriers, then a bit of a gap, then the hay bales, and then more, another gap, and then the hay bales in a different angle. It's the amount of energy that gets dissipated and collected when the drivers come into those. We had a couple drivers maybe a little sore, but no major injuries whatsoever, with some hard impact in turn 5. I thought, again, the corner workers did a tremendous job. Anytime there's an incident, they're jumping out, they're getting the carts off the track real quick. Turn 5, of course, kind of the epicenter of all the excitement. And the guys they have at that corner do such a tremendous job getting that thing cleared up.
Yeah, it's really the spacing between the barriers, hay bales, spacing between hay bales and hay bales. Like you said, it absorbs that momentum, that force that the cart and the driver are bringing into it, and it helps alleviate any type of major injuries. We've seen a lot of hard hits. And one of the oldest guys racing last couple of years. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name now.
Dave Conyers.
He's done it at least 3 times that we can think of in turn 5. So, and he kept coming back for more. So, it's definitely, right. One of the safest street races that there is in North America, without a doubt.
Capping off the event, obviously the award presentation at the end of the day, all the trophies heading out. But as has been done the last number of years, Tom Kutcher announcing the winner of this year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix Scholarship. Of course, John Crow, the winner in 2018, proudly displayed the Streets of Lancaster logo throughout the year. This year's winner, who will represent the event for the next calendar year, winning a scholarship with entry package to the SCUSA Pro Tour, the California Pro Kart Challenge. The winner, Vicente Salas, from the Musgrave Racing Company crew. He and his dad, the whole family's there all year long. And I know that he has impressed Tom and the whole SCUSA staff with just the way they approach the sport. So Vicente Salas, congratulations. This year's Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix scholarship winner. All right, folks, final break in the action of this particular edition of the Debrief. We've wrapped up the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. When we get back after this break, we'll jump into the EKN Trackside Live race calendar to tell you where we're going to be in the next couple of weeks. Stick with us. More to come.
Hi, EKN listeners. This is Jeff Wessel from Streeter Superstands. When it comes to lifts and stands for your carts and the largest selection of shop and trailer accessories, we know all about building and giving you the best. The Streeter Superstands crew has over 30 years of experience, are kart racers just like you, and know that the Streeter name stands for durability, affordability, and most of all, quality. We're the original and genuine manufacturer of Bigfoots and stacker stands, and we build them right here in the USA, along with our best-selling Streeter Superlift, upright stands, and an ever-growing roster of shop and trailer accessories to outfit any trailer or garage. While some guys pretend to be number one, we prove it every day, every race. Racers demand the best, and Streeter Superstand builds it. Check us out at StreeterSuperstands.com. When it comes to the best in lifts, stands, shop and trailer accessories, and all the cool necessities to make your race day easy and organized, it's all at StreeterSuperstands.com. We innovate, not imitate. Roll with the best right now at StreeterSuperstands.com.
Are you looking for a new kart shop? One that treats you like you're an important customer? If so, look no further than Acceleration Kart Racing. At Acceleration, customer service is number one. We are a full-time karting business, not a hobby or an afterthought. We have all the products you're looking for, from kid karts to shifters, safety to speed. We strive to offer our customers the best products, prices, and service. At Acceleration Kart Racing, we're always here when you need something for your racing program. Located in Las Vegas, Acceleration is stocked with a wide range of products. We've been helping racers get the right parts for over 16 years. Acceleration has everything that a kart racer needs, from turnkey karts to safety equipment, engines, and more, stocking all of the leading kart racing brands. Here's a taste of the products that we carry every day. CRG, Tony Kart, Bennett, Rotax, Honda, Miami, MG Tires, Vinco, Bridgestone, Mojo, Alpine Stars, Sparco, Ribtech, and EVS, Tillett, Micron, Alfano, Bell, Arai, Zamp, KG, Sniper, SweetTech, and K&N. It doesn't matter where you live in the country. We will get you what you need so you can get back on the track. Acceleration has a sufficient supply of products to ensure that your order can be shipped the very same day. Our knowledgeable staff is available to help customers 6 days a week, and ordering online is open 24 hours a day at shopakr.com. For visitors and locals in the Las Vegas area, Acceleration has a large showroom full of the best kart racing products available. Come on in and check it out. To find out more about what Acceleration has to offer, visit shopakr.com. Again, shopakr.com. And make sure to sign up to be on our mailing list to receive the latest updates and promotions that we send throughout the season. Again, we're a one-stop shop. shopakr.com.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 57 of the EKN Debrief. We just had a really deep dive, a review look at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. Will it be the last one? I don't know. Maybe we'll be back in 2020. We maybe not. That could be the last one we've ever seen. But regardless, David, we got lots more races to go to. This edition of the EKN Trackside Live race calendar brought to you by CRG Nordam. If you want to drive the best, drive a CRG. After years of independent American importers, CRG Nordam is now managed directly by the factory and run out of their state-of-the-art headquarters in Texas. CRG Nordam is the American arm of the CRG factory in Italy, and they're serious about success. If you're ready to step up to the national level, do it with a factory race team that competes across the USA. CRG Nordam is a full factory effort with the best personnel and the finest equipment. We're serious about winning, and you should be too. All right, David, I say that there's a lot of races still to go. I guess I'm looking more long-term because I know that we're coming back to the SCUSA Winter Series in January. We'll be doing the full Challenge of the Americas as well. Once we get into March, we're going to have the SCUSA Spring Nationals. The Winter Nationals. You're going to have the USPKS. But to be honest, between now and the WK Kart Week at Daytona, between Christmas and New Year's, we got just a couple races. You're going to be heading to the Rock the Rio event in Las Vegas. What's that? October 30th to November 2nd, I think?
Really October 28, 29 to the November 2nd. So it's really a week-long event, very similar to all the other major ending events that we see at the end of the year. I want to say they're on track Tuesday. Tuesday is when they start. So I think 28th is maybe a move-in day or unofficial. It might be unofficial practice.
So Tuesday to Saturday, they do their main events on Saturday.
Correct. So that main events are on Saturday.
Hearing good numbers for the Rock the Rio, some pretty solid numbers coming out of it.
Yeah, they've already announced that it surpassed last year's entry total with the same number of categories that they had last year. So numbers are certainly up. They got a lot of momentum building off of Challenging Americas having their best season under the Rock Cup USA banner. Florida Winter Tour had massive numbers in 2019 as well. And then you throw in the Rock Fest that they had in Biloxi and in Texas. The Rock program is definitely building up some momentum.
From there, a couple weekends break in the action, and we're back at it for the 23rd running of the SuperKarts USA Super Nationals. Expect 450 to 500 entries. It's going to be a massive event back at the Rio again. So a couple of big races at the Rio. Super Nationals, David, number 23. We're looking forward to that one again. We'll try to do maybe something new again this year, maybe more interviews. We definitely got to do our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday debriefs as well, because you got to bring the ice bucket out on Sunday. But
Sunday, yes. Super Sunday comes with a super ice bucket. And I really enjoyed those because we're able to talk to people that are walking by or sitting with us at the bar. It was kind of off the cuff type discussion between me and you. We were kind of just grabbing the topics. There's just so much to talk about after each day at the Super Nationals because there's just so much racing going on. Especially Friday, we have both rounds of heat races. Saturday is a little bit easier with just the third heat race and LCQs, and then we go into Super Sunday with the main events.
I'm looking forward to it for sure. Again, I got a chance to be at least I say part of the announcing team. I've been the primary announcer for the Super Nats from 1999 on. I was part of the announcing team in 97 and 98. But yeah, it's going to be great to be back again. Major race as always every year. Looking forward to that. SCUSA Super Nationals Day. That kind of wraps up our year. From there, we got what? Maybe I guess it's essentially a month break. Well, we haven't confirmed yet whether you're going to the WK Manufacturers Cup and road race and dirt event out at Kart Week. We'll see. Otherwise, that would be your first. After that, it's 2020. Crazy.
Well, yeah, essentially Kart Week is 2020.
True.
That's going to start our 2020 season. And it's weird. We're going into another decade.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's tremendous. And the fact that the thing that I kind of got started with everything I did with Shifter Card Illustrated magazine back in 1999. I'm working into what would be my third decade. So pretty crazy. Things have been fun though.
This is my fourth decade in karting because I've been in it since I was born. So I got you there.
You do. You had me there. Folks, we are wrapped up. That's it for the 57th episode of the EKN Debrief. It's October 17th. David Cole and I doing a deep dive into the SuperKarts USA Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. It was another great event. Big thank you to J3 Competition and CompKart as our presenting sponsor of this particular edition of the Debrief. Lots more podcasts to come, folks. We are back at it once again. Like I said, September was an absolute whirlwind for both David and I. We're back into it. We've got a lot of stuff planned. We've got This Week in Karting coming up that we're going to record next week. I got a couple interviews lined up as well. We're going to get Greg Jasperson and Steve Vermeer from Cup Karts North America. I'm lining up a new Book It interview with Ryan Norberg as well. A lot of good people we're going to talk to, and we'll have our first roundtable as well. Folks, thank you so much for joining me here again on the EKN Radio Network. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.